Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And I felt it was the perfect time to film this video. I was out playing basketball, quick release, quick trigger, splashing it from the outside, shooting it at a very high clip. I reminded myself of Quentin Grimes. In reality, I really look like Alfred Payne, but that's besides the point. Like, a man can dream here of being a really good three-point shooter, and maybe I could throw in the excuse I haven't played basketball in like such a long time. But anyway, we had to talk about Quentin Grimes in general. Quentin Grimes' last 6 games in the Knicks uniform. 4 out of those last 6 games, he has scored 20 or more points. And when you know what he brings on the defense side of the basketball, very good instincts, defending the passing lanes, getting up in guys' jersey, very solid on-ball defender. He likes to take on the challenge. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, whole other level, a great scorer when it comes to the elevation of his shot creation. Like, his jump shot, the amount of ground he covers and how high he's able to get in the air and just get any shot off is insane at his size. So it's going to be hard to defend the Donovan Mitchell. This man literally dropped 71 points in comeback fashion versus the Chicago Bulls, leading them to a W. But yes, there's certain things maybe he has to be smarter with on the defense side of the basketball, but he's shown, especially for a second-year player, he is an above-average defender, and he's a competitor. He fights for 50-50 balls. He's not afraid of the big moment. I love Quentin Grimes' mentality. He's also an underrated passer. He's someone that can drive strong to the basket when he wants to, and when he's smart in those situations. This season, he is averaging 10.7 points per game, shooting 38% from 3. He's snagging 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. It's his first year as the New York Knicks starter, and it is perfect that he is getting hot at the right time, shooting 38% from 3. 4 out of the last 6 games, like I mentioned, shooting or having over 20 points per game, or scoring 20 or more points. Obviously, to put into context, the last couple of games, the ball movement's definitely been crisp and it's been on point. And we'll see what it looks like when Julius Randle comes back. How's the ball movement really going to be? Hopefully, Julius Randle's looking from his couch and like, all right, I love this ball movement. We can win at a high level. When it comes to this ball movement, we got to play unselfish basketball. It starts with me. Like, I've been awesome this season, but I got to definitely install an unselfishness of consistently moving the basketball within the offense. And Quentin Grimes, you may look at his numbers like those aren't sexy numbers, 10.7 points per game, but he's literally the 4th option when it comes to the offense in the starting unit. You have RJ Barrett, who's obviously someone that likes to score the basketball, work downhill, spot up for threes, needs to consistently knock them down. But you have Julius Randle, who's an isolation basketball player. He has the ability to pass the basketball, but we know he's very dominant when it comes to isolation situations. Within the offense, getting buckets, averages 25 points per game. RJ nearly 20. You have Jalen Brunson that's averaging 24 points per game on the dot, and he's someone that can distribute the ball as well in key situations. But we know how dominant he is as an isolation basketball player as well. So it's not all on Quentin Grimes to be in the position to be successful or to put himself in the position to be successful in the playoffs. Obviously, needs to knock down his open 3 balls, which he has been doing lately. He's been shooting it at a very high clip. But it also comes down to the New York Knicks, their willingness to move the ball. When there's a trap on a Jalen Brunson, like we saw last night up against the Washington Wizards, they're going to trap Brunson. But it may be different when Randle comes back. They may be pressing Randle, then it's going to open up more for Brunson, or they may take turns when it comes to trapping, and it's those guys' job to make the key passes, make the key reads, and kick it out to Quentin Grimes. Fast, rapid decisions. You can't just hold on to the ball too long and then distribute the ball late to a Quentin Grimes. So Quentin Grimes definitely has had his stretches that he hasn't shot it well from the outside. I believe it was January. Yeah, I believe it was January. He didn't shoot it well from the 3. He attempted 6 threes per game. But you have to also take a look at the context of those threes. But there's also those threes that he wasn't making at all, but he was shooting under 35% from beyond the arc. He is more than just a 3-point shooter. I'm going to be getting into that. I'm not going to just talk about him as some Kyle Korver, Ray Allen Miami Heat day type of player or anything like that, because there is more to his game. But to look at the context of those 6 threes per game that he was attempting in January, we have to put into context. There were some games though he was getting touches, and I'm like, you just got to knock it down. I'm not making excuses for the kid at all, but he could set the tone, knock down a 3 at the beginning of the game, and then the rest, he'll have maybe 2 shot attempts in the third quarter, doesn't get a touch or get a shot the entire second quarter. And the most frustrating thing is, yes, it's his job to shoot the basketball, but it's going to be hard to be in a constant rhythm or a consistent rhythm when you're not getting consistent shots within the offense. And let's say it comes down to the wire. Quentin Grimes doesn't have a lot of shot attempts all game. They're blitzing a Julius Randle. They're blitzing an RJ Barrett, trying to make someone else beat them in the game down the stretch. They kick it out to Grimes, and there's a lot of pressure on Grimes' shoulder. I know he lives for those moments, and we've seen him hit some pretty crunch time threes for us. But it's going to be so hard for someone to knock down a 3 when they're not in rhythm and they're not getting shots within the offense. He hasn't shot a lot all game, and then you're counting on him to hit a big-time shot down the stretch. But he's a mentally tough dude, and he doesn't like make excuses. He doesn't go to the coaching staff and complain about the shots, but there's also some on him. For example, sometimes Quentin Grimes, it's weird. He's a very confident player, quick release, very good mechanics, but sometimes I feel like he doesn't set his feet and the shot doesn't fall. Or sometimes he hesitates, like doesn't hesitate on the shot, but he decides to make another decision, like pump fake, drive to the basket. He has a quick first step, but sometimes it can be out of control, resulting in a charge. But when he is under control with that first step, it can be very lethal. His ability to dump it down. But you've learned at a young age, it is really scary to make these passes in the air, because if they make a recovery on defense, you're gonna have to attempt a terrible shot that probably isn't gonna go in. So he's definitely had he's made his mistakes in those situations that, yes, when it works, jumping in the air, dumping it off to a Mitch, dumping it off to a Julius Randle cutting, it could excel at a very high level. But when the defense recovers, it could result in a bad turnover. Sometimes you just like to see him drive strong to the basket and be more under control, because he's a pretty strong dude. He's not the tallest in the world. He's 6'5", but he's some underrated, sneaky athleticism that he could definitely bring to the table. And I like when we utilize him cutting back door. He's excellent when it comes to cutting. So yes, you have to, when you take a look at the context, you have to give him consistent shots within the flow of the game. That's going to be so important playoff time. You need spacing in the playoffs. You really do. Julius Randle, lately, before he got hurt, wasn't shooting the three ball well from the outside. Maybe it's some recency bias, but overall, he's attempted nearly 8 threes per game this season, but he's had his games. He's definitely excelled from beyond the arc, but if you take a look at his overall percentage, he's not shooting that well from the outside. RJ is not shooting that well from the outside. Brunson is shooting at a very good clip. Mitch doesn't stretch the floor. You have Quickly, but he comes off the bench. He does get kind of starters minutes, so going to be 6-man. But you need to set that tone, space in the floor. It'll open up so much if we give Grimes consistent touches within the flow of the game, or consistent shots within the flow of the game as well. Not just three-point shots, but finding him cutting. He does an excellent job relocating, but I feel like we're kind of vanilla. Like, we set screens for him to free him up, but if you take a look at potentially like take a look at the Grizzlies game, Luke Kennard had 10 threes in that crazy game up against the Houston Rockets. I feel like there's more versatility or more of a creativity when it comes to setting screens of freeing him up. Like, Dylan Brooks and Luke Kennard are away from the play. Luke Kennard, I would say, is in the corner. Dylan Brooks is setting the screen, and it frees up Luke Kennard to come off the screen and knock down a three. While there's kind of more of a predictability that there's not as much off-ball movement. Like, we've seen off-ball movement, but it's not on a consistent basis. But we've seen Grimes, I believe it was in December. December was his best month, or one of his best months shooting the ball. Obviously, shooting it very well. March heading into April. It's April now, obviously. It's April 3rd. But December was tremendous. He was attempting, I believe, 7 threes per game, shooting at a 41% clip, getting him consistent touches, like consistent shots. And I believe that was a month that he was killing the Chicago Bulls. And we've seen his versatile skill set open up when his shot's falling from the outside. It could benefit his teammates, but it could also benefit him, because when his shot is falling, he's such a threat to drive to the basket with that quick first step. He was one of the top players coming out of high school. We saw his ability to shoot the ball in Houston. His handle definitely needs work, though. I feel like it can get sloppy and he could be a little robotic. But when his shot is falling, he has the ability to pump fake or use that hezzy, because they have to chase him off the three-point line because his shot's falling so much from the outside. It forces them to chase him off the three-point line, the defenders. So we can get him up in the air. He could drive strong to the basket, and there could be an open lane potentially for a layup. Or it could allow dribble penetration. He could dump it off as well. Or maybe even kick it to the outside. But it's going to be on Randle. It's going to be on Brunson. It's going to be on the overall, whoever's out there on the floor, to make sure they dribble, penetrate, open up. They're able to pinch and kick to a Quentin Grimes. And, we free him up when it comes to screens, bring some creativity to the playoffs. When it comes to the playoffs, bring some creativity to the table. We've seen screens being set, but maybe you just want to see him be a little creative within the offense. Relocating, obviously the best shooters do that, but if you notice, a lot of his shots do come off of just pure catch and shoot and not as many screens as you would like. But I would like to see him attack strong to the basket, not always look to pass. Yes, it's right. It's cool to make the right basketball play, but then also at the same time, I'm like, get to the free throw line. He's not someone that really gets to the free throw line, and he shoots at an 80% clip. Like, he is a solid shooter of the basketball, but he gets after defensively. Obviously, doesn't have this very long wingspan, but if you have a shooting ability, like, this is a 3-and-D league. You got to be able to make threes. You got to be able to defend, and the game slows down in the half-court setting, so we're going to need Quentin Grimes to be a shot maker. But you need three-point shooting, you need defense. You got to be able to defend the perimeter. You got to be able to shut guys off with your body. And we have seen he could defend the passing lanes. He can get up in guys' jerseys as an on-ball defender. And he's just a competitor. He fights for rebounds. He's an underrated rebounder. He's a good distributor of the basketball. He has the ability to knock down threes and be aggressive as a ball player. But he's a team player. That's what I love about him. an amazing attitude. It's going to be so important for the ball movement to be crisp, beautiful, playoff time. Randall make the right reads, Brunson make the right reads, whoever's out there. Obi, if Randall's not playing in game one, RJ, quickly, whatever lineup is out there on the floor. But credit to Quentin Grimes. I honestly think he's had a very solid second year for the New York Knicks, especially stepping into that starting role. He's like that glue guy. He doesn't try to do too much out there on the floor, and that's what the New York Knicks need. They need an under control player. Like I said, sometimes he could be a little out of control when it comes to straight line drives to the basket, resulting in charges. But Quentin Grimes, we believe in you, man. You've been playing awesome basketball lately. Continue to attack. Continue to make the right reads. Continue to knock down your shots from the outside. But what are your thoughts on Quentin Grimes entering the playoffs? Are you excited? Do you think he's going to struggle? Do you think he's going to play at a very high level? Peace out, y'all.